Greetings! You're watching Septum Sin vs. the World. I'm Septum Sin. Today, we're going to be talking about a series of films. So this is not only going to go along with our Halloween aesthetic, it's also going to be something that's going to be its own playlist. So we have ourselves the Exorcist series. Now, I'm going to be doing this in a series of 4 reviews. The first one covers the director's cut and the theatrical cut of the original. Cat hairs. The second one, of course, the second film, third film, and then the fourth one is the 2 films that are the prequel. So let's start with the original. I'm going to put, of course, a link down below to the discussion that we did on Movies Galore. This discussion, I feel, did this film a lot of justice. It gave a little bit more point of view into it than I actually had thought about before. You see, I came to Exorcist very differently than a lot of people. Many people saw it when they were young, when they were in their teens. They say this is one of the scariest films ever. My wife even says it's one of the scariest films for her. For me, I came to this in my mid-30s. I'm also not super religious. I'm not atheist or anything. I am somewhat, but not super religious. Not to where I'm like, ooh, this could exist. So the movie wasn't as scary to me. It didn't hold quite that scare factor. Matter of fact, there were parts where I was kind of, But again, I'm getting a little bit too far ahead of myself. Let's go ahead into the plot. Well, of course, we're talking about these Egyptian, or not Egyptian, but like ancient god statues that were unearthed. They're demon statues somewhere in the Middle East. Meanwhile, this little girl named Reagan gets affected by this unknown psychological seeming condition. She's cursing, she's acting out, the bed is shaking. People are levitating off the floor. She's rotating her head and vomiting pea soup. That's later. But the mother goes through and tests and tests and tests. And finally, in the end, we come to the conclusion that this child is possessed and we need an exorcism. So we get our exorcists to rid the child of the nasty demon. So, let's talk about what's good about this film. I feel like one of the better points that was made in the original discussion is that the film means something slightly different to everybody who watches it. A person who has been through a lot in life could actually get a lot from this film. Somebody who is a parent could actually pull some of that suspense that the mother has from the child not knowing what's going on with her child, that desperation. Somebody who is deeply religious could be super scared by the fact this demonic possession could happen in real life. Somebody who actually holds high to these high morals that come with this particular setting, or even that particular time period, they would find this highly, highly disturbing. The cursing, the interactions, these dark scenes, these are very, very disturbing things to many people. And for that, this film actually holds up on many levels with many people. When you watch it with a open state of mind, it's a slow burn, but it is a good burn. It's a burn that actually smolders well. And hold your attention throughout the film if you pay attention. I found that the way that they did it, the way they acted it out, it felt real, or as real as it can feel. And because of that, it was an effective film. So let's talk what wasn't as effective. Well, in this day and age, a lot of regular society would freak out. A lot of the people who actually would watch this film and be freaked out, because many of them are guilty of some of the same stuff that they're freaked out about. And because of that, many people in the modern time won't get a lot of the scares in this film and won't understand a lot of the disturbance that comes here. If you're raised on modern horror, this will not be a scary film for you. And to many, this might actually become a boring film. Again, I think that the discussion that was held was excellent with this. It showed all of those aspects of what is fascinating, what makes some people say this is so excellent and such a groundbreaking film because of what it did. But at the same time, many of the modern generation who don't have that setup can be lost with it if they don't have a connection. So with that being said, there are parts that drag. Some of the acting could be considered overacting. Some of the effects are not quite as good holding up as they would have been. So suspension of disbelief is actually needed. And I will admit, with the director's cut, because of the length and because of the way that they put it together, I'll admit, when I wasn't as into it, I started falling asleep. But when I watched the theatrical cut, I didn't have that problem. So with that being said, since these reviews, I typically try to keep them brief, I want to say that this film, because of its importance, because of what it is to so many different people, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Not perfect by any means. It still somewhat holds up, but there is some of it that is slipping. There is some importance to it. And because of that, looking at it at a filmmaker's perspective, you should watch this if you haven't. Though, don't let the hype get to you. Don't expect this overall scary thing. Take it as a movie. Look at it as something important because of the time it was done and what it was and what it did for movies of that type, and move from there. So, this has been Septum Sin. Please like, subscribe, and share. Of course, feel free to comment. I love hearing comments. This film particularly holds a lot of comments because there's a lot of strong opinions, and I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you.